In this video, we're going to just show some of the other features SmartBook 11 has to offer that you can do with objects and related things. The first one I want to show you is what's called locking down objects. Sometimes you'll want to prevent certain objects from moving around on a notebook page, especially in activities where that call for students to come up and interact with objects on the board. It is simple to lock down objects in the SmartNotebook. You'll see I have a chart on my page right here. It's a simple T-chart that's separated by nouns and verbs. When you have students coming up to select or words and pictures that they might move around the page, you don't want them to accidentally select nouns and verbs and move them. You want those to lock in place. So what you're going to do is click on, and then you'll get the object box around it. Select menu, select lock, and then select lock in place. Same for verbs. Lock in place. Now if a student actually went around, I'm clicking my mouse, this could mimic the student's hand coming up. It's not going to select and it's not going to move anywhere. If you want to unlock that object, you simply click it again. Click the lock and hit unlock. Click it again, click the lock, and click unlock. And now they're able to be moved again. So that's a basic lock feature of objects and SmartNotebook 11. Grouping and layering objects. When you start creating lessons in SmartNotebook, you'll find many uses for grouping and layering objects. By default, whenever you put an object on your page, it is automatically at the back layer. I put the house on here first. You'll notice it's in the back layer. It's behind, essentially, the pig on my page. The pig I put on second, so that's the second layer, and that's on top of, you'll notice, the house here. And the next one I put on there would be in front of that, and so on. When you want to change the order of objects, to change the order, click on the object. Then on its arrow menu, select Order and choose Send Backwards or Forwards. If I send it to the back, there he is. He's now behind the house. I can click on him again and send him forward by going to click on Order and bring to the front. And now he is in front of the house. To put an object in the bottom layer, choose Send to Back. To put it on the top layer, choose Bring to Front. Again, if I had more things on here and I wanted him all the way in the back, I could put Send to Back and he would go all the way in the back rather than just going one layer back, because I only have two layers. There he is back there. I could do the same thing for the house. Click on it, go to Order, Send Backwards or Send to Back, same thing because I only have two objects. There he is. So again, when you put an object initially on your page, it's going to go to the back. Every time you add an object, it's going to be the next layer front. So, by default, whenever you put an object on your page first, it is automatically at the back layer. Then the next object will be in front of that, the next one will be in front of that, and so on. There's also times where you might want to group objects on a page. Whenever you put an object on a page, you'll notice you get the object box around it, and they're independent of each other. I have one object here, and I have one object here in essence. They're separate elements on the page, but you might want to group them together. How do you do that? I'm using my mouse, obviously. I'm not on a smartboard right now. You simply click and drag so you can highlight both objects. And notice how both objects are highlighted. I'm going to click on one of the arrows. I'm going to hit Group, and I'm going to group those objects together. Now notice the pig and the house are one object. So they move around the screen as one object. To ungroup them, I simply go up here and click Ungroup. Now they're two objects again. Notice how I did that. Alright, some other great features you can use when you create lessons in Notebook 11 are cloning and infinite cloner. The cloning tool in SmartNotebook is very versatile. It allows you to create a duplicate of an object by using the clone command, or creating multiple copies of the object by using the infinite cloner. So I'm going to go back to my gallery. I'm going to take the pig again. I'm going to put him right on my page. So there he is right there. Okay, if you want to make an exact copy of that, you simply select the object. You can choose Clone from your menu, and there you go. You just cloned your object. Infinite Cloner is used when you want to make multiple copies of the same object. You can use Infinite Cloner. You can select the object by clicking on it, go to your drop-down menu and select Infinite Cloner. Once you have turned on Infinite Cloner, you'll notice the infinity symbol in the corner. To utilize it, all you do is simply click and drag on the object, and an object will be copied automatically. And you can do this infinite amount of times. In order to turn off Infinite Cloner, simply click on your object and choose to click off Infinite Cloner, and it turns your object back into just one object with the Infinite Cloner feature removed from it. Dual page display is another nice feature of SmartNotebook. If you ever want to display 2 pages at the same time, you can go into dual page display mode. There are many reasons you may want to do this. For example, if you want to show a graph or a reading passage on one page and have questions about it displayed on the other page. For this example, I'm going to show you this graph and then a question associated with the graph in dual page mode. You're going to want to click up in your menu, choose dual page display, and now you have your 2 pages shown. You have your chart on one page, you'll notice it's right here, and you'll have your question on another page, which is right here. Okay? That way students can look at the chart and students can answer the associated question without flipping back and forth. This says, what mistake do you see in the chart about fruits and vegetables? And if you look over, you have banana under the vegetable category. The nice thing about dual page display also is the ability to move objects transferred from one page to the other simply by dragging and dropping them. So if you didn't want to have the words written on this page, you could have pictures of it and have them drag the picture of the answer to the correct page and be done. So objects can be brought back and forth from each page when you're in dual page display mode. Tables are another great feature of SmartBook 11. Tables, to undo a table, you simply click on the button up top and you click and drag the size of the table that you want on your page. If I select 2 by 3 in here, a 2 by 3 chart will show up on my page. You can move the chart or table around by simply clicking the upper right corner and dragging it around your page. You can highlight it and do the same thing and drag it. You can also use the button over here and make the table bigger or smaller. You can resize rows or columns simply by clicking inside of your table and dragging them like that, and the same thing works for the column or the rows. And you can also add rows or columns to an already completed table by simply highlighting at the end and clicking. Sorry, you highlight at the end and you click add or insert column. It's going to appear to the right of where you highlighted. Same thing with rows. If you highlight the row, you can select insert row and it's going to go below. So now you just made an extra column and an extra row on your table. The property features work just like they do for other features of SmartNotebook 11 when you're using your table. You can highlight shade, you can highlight rows, you can highlight columns, you can highlight the entire thing, and then you could add different effects to them. So I'm going to just show you one example. I'm going to highlight this cell right here, click on my Properties tab, and I'm going to fill it blue, just like that. I mean, I could do a gradient fill if I wanted to. I could do a pattern fill. I could do an image fill if I had an image I wanted to. I could do no fill at all. So again, just over here, just like you can other things, your properties are over here for your cell. Again, just click in the cell or in the row. I'll show you if I want to do a whole row. I'll highlight that whole row right there. Go to my properties, fill effects. We'll do a gradient fill and choose red. So I just added a property to my table. You know, it's a nice thing to do when you're trying to create lessons. You want them more visually appealing. There are 2 ways to add text to a cell. The first method is to type your text outside of the table and then drag the words into the desired cell. So I'm just going to put fruit on here. I'm going to take that, and I'm going to put it up here. You could drag it right into your column right there. Okay, and then once you're in there, you could center it, you could change it, however you want to. The second method is to double click on a cell and type directly into the cell. Just like that. Okay, I can add any objects to the cell as well. Images can be placed on the page or dragged straight from the gallery into a cell. The nice thing about this is images will resize to fit the exact size of the cell. So if I had, my fruits, let's go get an apple from the gallery. I'm going to put that on my page. Notice how the apple's big, but watch if you or the student was to drag that under the column, it's going to resize it to fit into the table, which is a really nice feature. If I wanted to remove that, I'd simply click, drag, and drop it back out. Notice how it keeps the size that it originally modified to put it in the cell. Cell shades are a fun and interactive way of using tables as well. You can use a cell shade to enable you to reveal information in cells slowly during a presentation. To add a cell shade, it's very easy. You select the table and click on the table's menu arrow and select Table Shade. Notice that. It's shading what I have on there. Or I'm going to undo that. And I could also do that for individual cells by clicking on the cell and clicking on Add Cell Shade. So you could do it for the entire table, or you can do it just simply for one of the cells that are on the table. One of the nice real-life applications you may use for a combination of all the things you just saw is to do a bar graph activity. You can use the table to create a simple bar graph. For example, say you ask the students to vote for their favorite food. You can create the table, then you can add color to the columns and the rows, and finally you can add a table shade. Then you can call on each student, come up to the table, and cast their vote. So in other words, if you had a student come up and say they like pizza, 2 said they liked a sandwich, 3 said they like hot dogs. You just created a very, very simple and interactive bar graph, which you could then use to answer math problems with, or things like that. So you have your foods down here. Over here you could write number of votes if you wanted to. You don't have to. And then you notice by using all the properties we just saw, you have a nice bar graph activity. So that's just one application of the table, cell shades, and all of the features we just saw. So I hope that was able to give you some ideas on how to incorporate some of the basic features into lesson creation. We looked at a number of things. We looked at how to lock down objects. We looked at how to clone objects, how to group and layer objects, how to do some infinite cloning of objects. We also looked at how to do dual page display, how to make and insert things into tables, and how to incorporate those things into an activity. You can find more information on some of the other videos on this site, and in future videos we will explore some of the more advanced features, including object animation, including that into your lesson creation. But thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please contact me. Thank you.